Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to Check Out Your Board. PROUND thinking right out here in the lab. What I do for you? Oh, I got something nice for today. Quick lesson. So let me get this party started. Rightism, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message and story for life. I give life lessons. You tune in and receive them. You got a good thing going. Let's rock. Right thinking mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. By hook or crook, I got to get the message to you and hope you get to know thyself, which is my goal. Right things way of life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission, and that's what I'm on, is to get all right thinkers to know themselves with the lessons I give and the message I'm giving across to you can help you do just that. That's my intent. That's my mission, and I'm on it. Let's go. Know thyself. And the question I ask, do you know you? It's rhetorical, but if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. That's what I do for you. I can help you know you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard that. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believes and thinks that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. Why? I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. A person who knows and knows that they know is why follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers know ourselves. And to my yacht, be true. I'm gonna wrap this lesson up, and then I wrap it up. I got some more information that I thought was pertinent. So, right thinkers, let's talk about the profound teachings of the mystical spirituality of the Egyptian sage, aka his name is Merikare, Merikare. And I just Googled him to get the proper information. But I'm getting information on it right quick. I think it's pertinent. Again, anything to get the information, that's what I do for you. This is an education system. Merikare, also Merikare or Merikare, was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh of the 10th dynasty who lived toward the end of the first intermediate period, reportedly inspired by the teachings of his father, whom he embarked on what a semi-peaceful coexistence policy with his southern rivals of the 11th dynasty, focusing on what improving the prosperity of his realm, centered on Heracropolis. His policy was what? His policies was not rewarded, and shortly after his death, his kingdom was conquered by who? The Thebans. Okay, Menhotep II, making the beginning of the Middle Kingdom and the existence of his pyramids has historically been ascertained, although it has not yet been discovered. He was a pharaoh of the 10th dynasty. He had a philosophical point of view. That's what we're going to talk about. His profound teachings. Okay, let's start out with this Heka, which is ancient Egyptian utterance. We call it words of power. Y'all call it prayer. There's power in prayer, so words of power, get the concept, that's where it comes from. Remember, I'm an origin man. I'm gonna give you what I know from the original concept. Now, what you got, I don't concern myself with that, which is fine, but don't keep telling me, but no, I'm gonna give you the original. What you gonna do with that, this on you. So please don't contradict what I'm trying to teach you, what you think you already know. Don't work that way. You know what you know. I know what I know. I'm gonna teach you what I know. I'm a teacher, not a student. Moving on. So, through the utterance, verses are what? The spiritual scripture, and contains a profound teaching of mystical spirituality. And it comes from a text in which an ancient Egyptian sage, I just told you about him, is teaching about what? The agitated state of mind. I gave that breakdown before by discussing the motivations and the causes of the negativity of the Aztecs. other group of people who they was at war with, who watched this, who were constantly what attacking the Egypt during the time and for several thousands of years before. They've been at war with other people for a long time. But before they started going to war, they lived in peace and harmony amongst themselves. So understand that. And watch this. Now it teaches the need for what? To maintain equal vision or equanimity of what? Mind. Since material, here you go, material wealth is transient and illusory, as we discussed in the last passages. If you think anything in this world is no, that's a waste of time. But we caught up in that concept. We live in a material world, like Miguel Madonna. We live in a material. We've been doing that for a long time. Okay, moving on. But a person cannot listen. A person cannot be judged by his or her material condition. It ain't about the wealth. Rather, a person should be judged by what? Their actions and abilities. Bingo. Since every human being is what? Innately a divine, immortal soul. Ain't no one of us special. No, we all got the same thing, and we all have the same opportunities to know thyself. All that, what you want in this world, knock yourself out. Go for it. But spiritual people know it ain't about this world. That's the difference. That's why this is a delusion. But it has you jumping through hoops and doing stuff, thinking it's gonna give you something that you already have within yourself. Once you realize that, waking up and becoming knowledgeable yourself, and watch this. Every human being is innately a divine, immortal soul. Ain't no special, ain't no different. So watch this. So their potential is the difference. Is limitless. What holds people back is what? We've been doing this for a while. Ancients told you that. What holds people back is their ignorant understanding of life and the egoistic feelings which lead to what? Sinful behaviors. Behaviors based on vices, things of the flesh, pleasures of the flesh, the low 3 degrees, that beastly nature. That lifestyle permeate right now is unbelievable to me. So, but that's what's going on. And watch this. If you judge others based on their level of material wealth, you are engaging in what? In sin. Why? Because you are seeing them through what? Your egoistic vision of what is true and real based on your ignorance of what is real. Ignorance means not knowing. It don't mean dumb, stupid. No, it just means you don't know. And when you don't know yourself, you are ignorant of yourself. Simple as that. I don't try to say it to be disrespectful. I want to be clear. When you don't know you, you're ignorant of yourself. You don't know the powers you have. You don't know what you are, who you don't know you. So spiritual knowledge gives you an understanding of who you are. Trying to be nice. And that's done with what? Virtue. Virtue is the only, listen, virtue is the only true wealth and expresses in what? The form of compassion, nonviolence, truth, and universal love, harmony, and sharing, etc. Those are all the things that I do because I learned them. I practiced them. And virtue, again, is an expression of what? One's understanding of the interconnectedness of life and one's own transcendental existence, which is connected to who? The Supreme Spirit is in all of us. That's what makes us innate, divine, spiritual beings. We just have to figure it out. My job as a sage and teacher is to get all those who I can to realize that for themselves. That's it. That's it. To the extent, watch this, that one is aware of one's own divine nature. I want you to know you. Once I found who I was, man, I've been shouting like a damn fool for the last 11 years. And it ain't gonna stop. Why? Because I know this. Virtue, what happens? Manifests how? Through the human personality. I want to do right. I want to do good. Back then, I want to do mean? Big difference. When you become spiritual, you do things for a higher power, for a more noble and glorious purpose. Is spiritual. To the extent, watch this, that one is in ignorance about one's own divine nature, that's a sinful vice and behavior based on what? Greed, jealousy, egoistic desires, etc. And that's what manifests in those who are dull and in an ignorant state of mind of themselves. They're compelled to do all the wrong things. Why? They don't know. There is one more important point to realize about various states of consciousness. Many people believe, watch this, that when something which they feel is positive occurs, then this means what? Happiness. Yeah, peace and harmony have been achieved. No, it don't. No, it don't. But they believe so. Watch this. So, for example, people in general feel that when they experience some situation or acquire some object which brings them what? Joy, that this signifies happiness and is the goal of life. Hell to the no. It's false. It's illusory. That's why I'm trying to tell you. Don't believe the hype. Upon reflection, if you did that, watch this, in the light of yoga, mystical philosophy, what I practice, I call it right thinking philosophy, it must be understood, watch this, that both elation and depression, I can tell you about that damn roller coaster, I don't ride that. Trust me. So that's the whole point. Watch this. Now, when you understand both elation and depression, happiness and anger, etc., are what? Are both in reality what? Only two forms of agitation, distraction. Okay? Because you think it's doing something other way it's really doing. So you under the wrong concept, okay? And watch what it does. This is funny. Elation causes one form of distraction because whatever circumstance it was made you feel good. So yeah. I just try to tell my student, and unrest, while anger and negativity also causes a form of distraction and unrest. When you rely on situations to either bring you happiness or depression, that's not a good way to live. Watch this. So now dullness is what? Is also a form of distraction and unrest as you study. If you did that and reflect on the teachings that you're learning, of ancient mystical philosophy, aka right thinking philosophy, it should become what? Increasingly clear to you that what? That what most people consider to be true happiness and peace are really in reality sources of what? Agitation. Fake outs. Okay? And it brings on stress and distraction from what? The real source of your peace. Knowledge of self. This is why in ancient Egyptian mystical philosophy, as well as the mystical philosophy, right thinking from India, concepts too also are in what? They put an emphasis on the practice. You ready? Balance, aka Mayat, as the following Heka will explain. The ancient Egyptian spiritual scripture states creativity is a factor of what? Harmony and inner peace. Heart, mind, coherence. Your heart is in perfect harmony with your mind. That means your feeling and desire is on point, on as one. Watch this. When there is a raging storm of emotions, anxiety, tension in your mind, the flow of inspiration from the transcendental self is obstructed. There's a communication. There's a cloud, like before the sun, the cloud about the sun. We know this cloud gonna keep passing, but for some people, when they're ignorant, the cloud just stay there and block the sun. They don't get nothing. That's what they're telling you. So therefore, watch this. In order to promote creativity, is necessary to harmonize what? One's life as much as possible so as to come into what? Harmony with what? Your higher self. I just try to make the connection for you. That's what it's saying. I'm trying to make it easy for you to understand it because they put it in a way, if you're doing it by yourself, You might say, what the what? So when it comes to that part, I'm going to interject and let you know what the what. So what they're saying here is when you meditate, when you live and do what things you're supposed to do, that's all communicated with you. All that's done from within you. That's all you got control of. Master that. And all activities, watch this, should be performed how? In such a way that what promotes peace instead of tension. This way of life what allowed the inner self to guide your outer self. Let your conscious CONCIE conscious proven be your guide. Listen to your heart. All these stuff y'all talk about, and y'all really don't get to understand. I'm trying to break it down so you can understand it. Listen to your heart. And what happens? This can be achieved how? If there is constant surrender of what? Y'all ready? The egoistic desires, okay, of the individual to the divine will by what? Permitting yourself to be directed by the teachings of right thinking philosophy, aka a yogi. So the preceding teachings speaks volumes about what? The nature of agitation. A lot of us don't have a clue. I'm agitated. No, you are misunderstood. So that brings on agitation, all the other stuff that comes with it. Being ignorant of self, doing the wrong things, haphazardly just doing whatever feels good to you, that's going to always cause you problems. Okay, we call them fetters. So when there is a, wait, proceeding, okay, now, the Juno message is what? Beware of what? Your environment and beware of your surroundings. Harness in surroundings and general environment can cause what? Negative stress, which will lead to in what? An unsettled mind. If you're in an environment that ain't serving you, that ain't helping you, you're not gonna be comfortable. You're not gonna be happy. Every now and then you might get a glimpse of it. Every now and then it might happen, but it ain't constant and it ain't done by your control. So an unsettled mind is difficult to control. A mind that is uncontrollable will what? Will have difficulties in what? Concentrating, focus. A lot of people just all over the place. Ah, ah. So poor concentration leads to what? Will not allow for what? Self-reflection. You ain't thinking about nothing but at the moment. You're just doing. That's not good. That's poor concentration, lack of focus. Now, reflection is necessary. Why? In order to make sense of one situation and to gain intellectual understanding with non-reflective, confused, or wrong thinking, the mind will have difficulty what? Meditating. A bad meditative person is somebody who just all over the place, sporadic. They just can't focus. That's the problem they have, and they don't understand it. If they would take the time to try to condense some of that, get rid of some of that nonsense out their way, they can focus and be better, concentrate on themselves and do better for themselves. They're not going to adhere to none of that. Those are the ones who you got to leave alone. Okay, they know they don't know and don't even concern themselves with not knowing. So leave them be. And you got watch this. Yeah, down here. Here you go. A non-meditative mind will have what? Difficulties in what? Transcending, making a change. I call it the caterpillar. A non-reflective person will get in the cocoon and stay there. Why? Because they're never gonna come out. Okay, they're stuck in the world of apparent dualities. One will be what? Endlessly pulled into the world of apparent thoughts going on in the mind. When you can't focus, you can't do nothing but do a bunch of nonsense. It ain't healthy, it ain't good, and it's mentally an issue that not being addressed. So moving on. I'm gonna have to wrap this thing up again, as the mind will be caught up in what? Endless waves of what? Joys and sorrows. It will be unable to find peace. Why? It's too busy going up and down. A mind filled with what? Too much joy or too much sorrow due to what? Its experiences in the world would be what? equally agitated, and one will have difficulty concentrating and calming it down. They can't control their thoughts. Man, I can't stop it. Yes, you could. Relax. Breathe. That's why if you don't practice daily meditation, your thought process is all over the place. One extreme, joy, leads to what? The other extreme, pain. Can't have one without the other. When you understand the philosophical concept of Maya and duality, you'll know everything has an opposite. And you know every action you do has a reaction. You reap what you sow. And what they say don't match what they do, that's their problem. Well, they got to pay for that. And let me wrap this up. We're talking about the concept of the miserable Asiatics, those ignorant people becoming known in Egypt. Watch this. Became known in Egypt as who? The concept of the land of Heru and the land of Set. Since Set, watch this, had the god of the desert, he's the god of the desert, the Asiatics who dwelt in the desert lands, Asia Minor, there you go, became what? Identified with Set, and therefore, watch this, Setanian behavior. We know what that is. Impulsive, selfish, brute force, etc. This is why we were at war with them thousands of years. Okay, this is them. Watch this. The teachings about the miserable Asiatics is what? Is of paramount importance. Why? Because it provides an understanding of how what the human mind becomes degraded and violent. Without culture, without structure, without respectability, we will fall to where we are right now. Materialistic, egoistic, in control. You want a guy, well-known criminal, to run the country. Oh, I ain't going there. Sorry about that. Let me get out of that. The teaching, watch this. They taught you about them kind for a reason. Watch this. A human being who is not nurtured, cultured, and who is consistently experiencing what? Stress will develop what? A distracted, negative character. Some people just mad for no reason. Why they angry for no reason? It's a bunch of that going on now. People just waiting for a reason to act out and get whatever they got off. I used to be one of them. Mhm. I still got the can. I just try to be keeping away. But we all have that. So understand that. And when you have a culture that fester that, wars, not a bunch of stuff. Okay, here we go. Let me wrap this up. But watch this. But the pressures due to what? Lack of intelligence, of security, and not knowing where the next meal is coming from. Homelessness. Okay, destitute. When you don't know from one to the next, that's bad decision making. And my man said, you don't know where the shit will go blind. Okay, not a good place to be. But however, to acquire the secure the needs of life and then how to hold on to them, etc., does not allow what the inner peace and expansiveness of the inner self to manifest. Meaning you can't make nothing happen. You too messed up. All those worries and anxieties causes what? A degradation in the human mind, wearing you out, wherein what? The concern is not about working with others, but what? Competing with them. Dog eat dog world. Sound familiar? Okay, got to get mine. With them for what? Food, material wealth, mates, etc. Everybody's competing. Everybody's trying to get theirs. And the purpose of human existence, watch this, is to provide a means for the soul to have a human experience and grow into awareness of itself. Hence, know thyself as being what? One with the creation. I keep trying to make that point known because that's what I learned. That's what I'm trying to show you. And this feeling, watch this, of blissfulness, supremely satisfying and universal, it's there for everybody's opportunity to grab for themselves. When the soul in the human being, watch this, is not allowed to express itself in this manner, what happens? The ego in human beings is what? In control. Perfect example. And what happens? This egoism, what? fosters feelings, of what? Personal desires, separation, animosity to what? Anything which what? Prevents that ego from getting what it wants. I've been telling you that for the longest. This is how people are. When you're serving yourself, you will do, lie, cheat, steal, kill, whatever to get what you want. And anybody try to stop you, they're the enemy. Sound familiar? Don't be them. We know them. And if you don't know them, I can tell you, if something's going on that you ain't knowing about, it's probably you. If you ain't part of the solution, you part of the problem. Understand that. And this is the source, watch this, of animosity, enmity, anger, hatred, and violence in the human experience. We are violent people. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And spiritual discipline practice leads to what? Leads a human to being to what? A human being to what? Here we go. To discover a deeper essence of life. Who you are, knowing thyself. True spiritual understanding, I'm about to do it, allows you, a person, to what? Understand where true happiness and peace are to be found. It shows a person that security cannot be found in the world, but in the that which sustains it, the forces of nature. Luke, use the force. That's what we have to generate us, to motivate us to do what we need to do. I got a few quotes here before I wrap it up. Let's go. The ancient Egyptian teachers presented above are echoed again in the ancient Hindu, got something from them, scripture known as the Bhagavad Gita, in which Lord Krishna instructs his disciples Arjuna. This particular verse comes from the chapter on the practice of meditation. How about that? Right quick. O Arjuna, the yogi who sees the likeness of himself in all and thus maintains equal vision in pleasure and pain, he is considered the highest yogi. He ain't to be swayed one way or another. That's equanimity. Being flatline, okay? Not caught up in the roller coaster of life. Emotions and desires will take you through that. Get better. Ojana, watch this. Arjuna, then asked about the way in which the mind can be controlled. How can I control my mind? We suffer because we desire. I like my boy Alan Watts. He got a good philosophy. He brings Hindu and the Chinese Middle East philosophical concepts. He brought him to the West Coast, and he's pretty good at that. Good philosophical guy. Now, Arjuna asked, and Krishna, I do not see how it is possible to maintain the steady state of yoga equanimity, which you have taught. This mind is ever so restless. We just talked about that. That distracted mind is everywhere. It won't focus. We know that a beam like this ain't strong, but you focus that beam out, now you got laser to cut through anything. Same thing with water. Anything you narrow down to more, the more powerful it gets. Get the concept? So watch this. Now, verily, oh Krishna, the mind is fickle. Yeah. Impetuous, and turbulent, which to me it seems more difficult to what? Control the mind that it is to control the wind. You got that right. The Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said this: indeed, the mind is restless and difficult to control, but can be brought under control. How? By the exercise of repeated effort, aka meditation. It is my opinion, Krishna, that is difficult for anyone. Yoga is difficult for anyone. Why? Who is lacking self-control. If you can't control yourself, I can't teach you anything because you ain't gonna be a willing participant. But watch this. It can be attained by who? One who has mastered his lower self. How do you go? If he adopts the proper means. Fellas, I want you to realize that thing down there ain't the end all be all. Once you realize that, now you're ready to learn. Okay, grasshoppers. Why? You still doing what you're doing. I can't. You won't focus. I can't help you. So let me get this over with. So watch this. Now, this instruction being out important. These instructions bring out important teachings of what? In reference to understanding and controlling what? The mind. Many people become discouraged. Why? Early in their spiritual practice because they do not obtain discernible results within a short time. They don't see quick, instantly. We in a generation where y'all instant. No, it's a process. I come from that long, arduous process of putting your time, putting the work in, and then you acquire it. A lot of y'all don't understand that, but it is a process. Spiritual. Watch this. And sometimes they try what? Many different techniques without giving any sufficient time for it to work. You try Christianity, it ain't work. Try Islam, it ain't work. Try Judaism. So what you gonna do next? Hindu, Buddha. Yeah, keep hopping around. Why? Ain't none of them gonna work if you don't put the time in. That's the point we try to make. And watch this. And in essence, it is like digging for water by what? Making a well, but without going deep enough. Man, I've been digging 20 feet. I ain't hit water yet. I'm done. So you go dig over here, do the same thing. Well, you could have spent the 20 feet digging this hole and got deeper. That's the concept again. But when you're hopping around, you don't get what you need because you didn't put the time and the energy in it to make it work. So what happens? If a person was to dig a hole and after 1 or 2 feet stop and begin what? Another hole, he or she would not find nothing. Again, you're not putting in the work. In spiritual practice, spiritual discipline is in any other human endeavor. Watch this. Sustained practice, repeated effort, meaning daily, is a key to success. In spiritual practice, right thing in philosophy, every single time you turn your mind towards the divine, what's happening? You are actually creating a higher mental impression. You're getting closer to God in mind. Watch this. And eventually, these positive impressions along with good deeds, overpower who? Your lower self, your negative impressions of what? Ignorance, anger, hatred, greed, etc. That's your lower nature. That's set. And Haru is your higher self doing that. The divine self wants to do the right thing, and it's going to override the lower nature if you put the work in. And watch this. This occurs when what? When there is no discernible benefit. Therefore, even though you may not see immediate results, you should continue what? Practicing your spiritual discipline when daily and with faith. Also, it is important to what? Practice dispassion and my favorite, detachment from what? Worldly objects. Don't let them things move you. Don't let them get you or you get all crazy and do anything because you want that. I need that. I gotta have that. Spiritual discipline takes care of those things. And from worldly objects and worldly desires. Okay? If these points are not practiced, if you ain't putting this work, watch this. Along with your formal meditation efforts, what happened? You will have little success or very slow success in your meditative process. That's why you have to put in your work. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Remember, it's all about the work that you put in with the results of what you get out. Hope you got the lesson. I'm out.